Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashto Tadasatasi Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Se Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai Say Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki Sri Purushottam Chitra ki Shri Ganga Mai ki jai, Shri Jamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai. Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pacharani Nivasesha Nivadi Paschatjateshtarane. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 13, The Behavior of a Perfect Person. Text number 45. Svatma Pritam Maye. Even though we got the light, it's still not easy for me to read. Oh, I can pull this. Oh, look at that. Whoa. Very good. Even the blind can see with light. Right? Svatma vitam mayetam te. Suguptam apivarnitam. Vyapetam lokasastrapyam. Bhavanhi bhagavat paraha. Svatma vritam mayetam te. Suguptam apivarnitam. Vyapetam lokasastrabhyam. Bhavanhi bhagavat paraha. Svatma pritam mayetam te. Suguptam apivarnitam. Vyapetam lokasastrabhyam. Bhavanhi bhagavat paraha. Svatma pritam mayetam te. Suguptam apivanitam. Vyapetam lokasastrabhyam. Bhavanhi bhagavat paraha. Svatma pritam mayetam te. Suguptam apivanitam. Vyapetam lokasastrabhyam. Bhavani bhagavat paraha. Svatma pritam mayetam te. Suguptam apivanitam. Vyapetam lokasam. Ladies? Svatma pritam mayetam te. Suguptam apivanitam. Shastrabhyam Bhavani Bhagavat Paraha Swatma Brittam Mayetam Te Suguptam Apivarnitam Vyapetam Loka Shastrabhyam Bhavani Bhagavat Paraha. Sva-atma Vrittam. The information of the history of self-realization. Maya, by me. Ittam, in this way. Te, unto you. Suguptam, extremely confidential. Api, although. Varnitam, explained. Vyapetam, without. Lokasastrabhyam, the opinion of the common man, or common literatures. Bhavan, your good self. He, indeed. Bhagavat Paraha, having fully realized the personality of Godhead. Prahlad Maharaj, you are certainly a self-realized soul and a devotee of the Supreme Lord. You do not care for public opinion or so-called scriptures. For this reason, I have described to you, without hesitation, the history of my self-realization. Purport: a person who is actually a devotee of Krishna does not care about so-called public opinion and Vedic or philosophical literatures. Prahlad Maharaj, who is such a devotee, always defied the false instructions of his father and the so-called teachers who were appointed to teach him. Instead, he simply followed the instructions of Narada Muni, his guru, and thus he always remained a stalwart devotee. This is the nature of an intelligent devotee. The Śrīmad Bhāgavatam instructs Jagyai Sankirtan Prayaya Yajantihi Sumedasaha. One who is actually very intelligent must join the Krishna consciousness movement, realizing his own self as an eternal servant of Krishna, and thus practice constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahiyam Tadati Swapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Garim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. So there are a couple of points here. There are two kinds of instruction. Prahlad Maharaj has been inquiring from and receiving instructions from the Brahmana. And so there are two elements or two types of instructions. There's the conversations or the discussions held by devotees, and then there's conversations or discussions by the common, or here it's mentioned, Loka Shastrabhyam. And it's translated here as the opinion of the common man, or common literatures. Right? We study the Bhakti Shastra. But here it says the Loka Shastra. Right? Loka Shastra. And there's a difference, a very big difference between the two. One is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's described as Gramya Katha, right? The topics of the marketplace. And then of course Krishna Katha is that which glorifies and describes and investigates and discovers the absolute truth. And looking for truth is of importance to many, and especially to the devotees. And these conversations, these discussions about self-realization and the qualities of, or the nature of relationships, actually. The Vedas, Prabhupada explains, and the Shastra explains how there are three basic topics contained within the Vedas. There's the nature of relationships, sambandha. There's abhideya, which is the process by which one can realize and understand these relationships, and one can act in those, on the basis of those relationships, can act properly. And then prayojana is the goal, the ultimate goal, which we're taught is ultimately to uncover or realize one's spiritual identity. And in that spiritual identity, realize one's relationship with Krishna and experience the pleasure that comes from being situated in our original spiritual position. Prabhupada explains how we're like fish out of water. Out of the spiritual realm, out of the spiritual world, the living entity is always going to feel displaced. But in the association of the devotees and hearing the Krishna Katha as opposed to the Gramya Katha creates confusion and conflict. And Krishna Katha creates a sense of well-being, of satisfaction, of comfort. Even though we're in a material world, and the material world is designed in such a way so that it'll always be uncomfortable. Right? There's always going to be a problem. Jamma mritya jara vyadhi, birth, death, old age and disease. And as we were discussing the other day, and the concomitant sufferings, klesha, adhyatmika, adhibhautika, adhidaivika klesha, sufferings that are brought about because of the fact that we've got this material body, sufferings that come about as a consequence of our interaction with the other living entities, and then the natural disasters. Today it will probably be too hot for Melbourneites, right? 33 is a hot day for... 23 is okay for Melbourne, right? And often why we're people who live in Melbourne are criticised by those who live in Brisbane because the weather's not as hot. Because go to Brisbane and spend a day there, and then you think, boy, I wish I was in Melbourne. So it's relative. But basically, there are struggles. But our natural aptitude, our natural inclination is to be situated in an environment where we're comfortable and we feel safe and happy. And one of the reasons why hearing Krishna Katha is so important is because in that atmosphere or in that environment where the conversations are about topics of self-realization, then all other anxieties and troubles just disappear. Srimbatam sva katha Krishna punya shravana kirtana. So this hearing and chanting of the right topics, that which is sat, whereas the topics of the Loka Shastra are about the impermanent asat features of existence, of the creation, of which the transcendentalists have no interest in. Nateshu ramate buddha, because they have a beginning, a middle and an end. Adyanta vanta kuntaya nateshu ramate buddha. So This chapter is called The Behavior of the Perfect Person, or of a perfect person, right? So this is one of the characteristics. Matschita, matkata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mamnityam tusyanti cha ramanti cha. So the devotees, the transcendentalists, the inquisitive, because everybody's inquisitive, but the devotees like Prahlad Maharaj are inquisitive about specific topics, not the topics of the marketplace, but the topics of self-realization. And that's recognized by the Brahmana. He's acknowledging Prahlad Maharaj's transcendental character. Because Prahlad Maharaj is recognizing, and this is a devotee recognizes the transcendental qualities of others and then wants to associate with those devotees and avoids, Lord Chaitanya mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Asat Sangatya Ge Vaishnavachar. When he was asked by the residents of Kulinagram, what are the characteristics of a devotee? He mentions, first characteristic is Asat Sangatyag, or maybe not the first. First characteristic is they chant Hare Krishna. But certainly essential quality of a devotee is they avoid the association of the materialists who are attached to the things of the material world. And so their inquiry is always about transcendental topics, transcendental subject matter. And really are only happy in that association where they can acquire or gather spiritual knowledge, spiritual learning, self-realization effectively. I remember going to university, and for some reason, and when I think about it now, it was terribly naive of me to think that I would actually get any learning at university. But that's what I was expecting. I was expecting that the lecturers and the professors would actually impart some knowledge, some knowledge of substance is what I was looking for. And I remember being thoroughly disappointed and very depressed actually, because I was thinking, what am I doing here? I want some learning of substance that will make me happy, basically. And didn't get that opportunity until I met the devotees. And this is the nature of the exchange that's going on here between the Brahmana and Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj has recognized the transcendental qualities of the saintly Brahmana, even though externally he appears to be under the influence of the material energy, actually he's not. And that's judged, or that's measured by the quality of his speech. He's self-realized, actually. And because Prahlad Maharaj is inquiring about transcendental subject matter, then he's happy to speak to Prahlad Maharaj. And even, it's interesting, although it's not in the word for word. It's not in the verse, but Prabhupada translates this verse for this reason I have described to you without hesitation the history of my self-realization. So because Prahlad Maharaj is inquisitive, and also the other, well, the main characteristic that's mentioned here, he's also Vyapetam Lokasastrabhyam, not concerned about public opinion. Right? In other words, more concerned about transcendental topics and the pursuit of self-realization, the pursuit of real learning, of real knowledge. And not concerned about what others think about him. Right? Usually we're concerned about what others think about us, right? Prabhupada gives the example, what is it? We eat to our own tastes, right? Do you do that? Or do you eat what other people like, even if you don't like it? No. We eat according to our own tastes, but we dress to the taste of others. Right? If people don't like what we're wearing, we think, ooh, I won't wear that next time. So a transcendentalist doesn't care too much about what others think of them. I remember when I first saw the devotees chanting Hare Krishna on the streets of Adelaide, and I used to think, God, these guys are crazy. Right? Bald heads, saffron robes, and very, enthusiastic, devotional fervour, right? And even something of sentimentalists, right? We see the Harinam party and the devotees are all shouting out and carrying on and showing it to a very conservative culture of religiosity, especially within the Christian tradition, and even in the religious traditions of India. You come to the temple and you stand before the deity and offer pranams, right? And make a very it's not a great show of devotion, right? But the devotees don't do anything like that. Once they start chanting Hare Krishna, that's it. Right? There's a lot of emotion and a display of enthusiasm, right? And affection even. Instead of just very quiet pranams, it's, loudly chanting, shouting out, crying. Even it's described rolling on the ground without concern of what others think. The devotees are happy to show enthusiasm for the Lord and enthusiasm for the company, for the association of the devotees, which comes out when one chants Hare Krishna. Very interesting, right? Sometimes these show of, or not a show, it's not a show, it's a natural, spontaneous outpouring of, what's the word that Prabhupada uses? Starts with a J. 4-syllable word that starts with J? Huh? Jubilation. Yes, jubilation. Interesting word, right? What's a jubilee? What's a jubilee? Do you know? You've heard of the word, I'm sure. Jubilee. What is it? Huh? Be happy, yes. Celebration. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's a celebration. So when the devotees chant Hare Krishna, it's a celebration. Right? But the kind of celebration that's ordinarily not seen within the ordinary populace. Right? You don't see people walking down the street or going to work and shouting out and calling out the, you know, how wonderful their boss is. Or show enthusiasm for what they're doing, so much enthusiasm for what they're doing. These are uncommon displays of emotion and, what's the word? You know, that kind of behaviour reveals the internal nature of the person, of the individual. Most people are so mixed up, they don't want to reveal their confusion. We all like to walk around like we know what we're doing, right? But, you know, when you look at the faces of some people walking around, they look so unhappy, right? So miserable. And yet the devotees, when they're walking around and they're chanting Hare Krishna, they're showing their enthusiasm and their jubilation, their happiness. And are not concerned about what others think about them. So I remember when I'd see the devotees and I'd think, I was attracted to the chanting of Hare Krishna. I was attracted to the devotees, very much attracted. And I knew the mantra. Huh? And so I could sing, whenever the devotees were chanting, then I would chant along with them. In my mind, anyway. I was still concerned about what others would think about me, right? I think, what would my friends say if I started chanting Hare Krishna? What will my parents think? What will my mum and dad think if I shave my head and wear robes and walk down the street chanting and dancing, right? And it's a test, actually. This is a test. This is the Hare Krishna test, right? You have to go out on Harinam with the devotees, chant Hare Krishna, and then you're really showing off. I'm different from you people. Right? And that's a challenge. That can be a challenge, right? What will my mum and dad think? What will my brothers think? What will my family think? What will society think? But if we look at Vishnu Jana and Harinamananda and the boys, what do they care? They couldn't care less what people think. And very interesting, you know, sometimes we go out on Harinam and we're a bit on the mental platform. Have you experienced that? Going on Harinam and you're feeling a bit, oh no, what's going to happen? I told this story before about, we did a Harinam in Perth and there was me and Yadu and Sitaram and Bhakta Brian. and we're all at that stage over 50. Right? And so I was a little bit on the mental platform thinking, oh no, here we are, we're just a bunch of boring old age, or at least certainly advanced middle-aged persons. What kind of an impact will we have on anybody? Right? What impact will we have on anyone? And you know, Yadu and Sitaram are not known for their singing. Neither is Bhakta Brian. I don't think my singing is that good. So I was kind of thinking, oh no, bit on the mundane, bit on the bodily concept of life. But of course we started chanting Hare Krishna, and then the absorption in chanting Hare Krishna just takes you off of the mental platform, right? And so, have you ever done Harinam in Perth? Yeah, around the mall, and so you know, and you come over you park the car, then you come over the railway line, and then into Hay Street, right? It's Hay Street, and then you go around, and there's another street that runs parallel with Hay Street, which is like Rundle Mall, open space. So anyway, by the time we got around to the other side, there was about a dozen 20-year-old kids chanting and dancing with us. And I was thinking, well, what's going on here? So you know, we can't judge the behaviour of devotees according to the standards of the Loka Shastra, right? of the common man, of the common people. Right? It's not on the activities of the Vaishnavas, of the devotees of Krishna, are not on the material platform and can't be judged by those on the material platform. And we experience it. We go on Harinam, and then we left Hay Street and central, the CBD of Perth. We weren't there. We weren't actually in when we're chanting Hare Krishna, or when we're discussing topics about hearing the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we're not in the material world anymore. And why we feel comfortable and happy and complete in that environment. Certainly we are in the material world. But the consciousness of the devotee is purified. Punya Shravana Kirtanam. It's pious activity, and activity beyond the material realm. So I was attracted to the chanting of Hare Krishna, but bewildered by the external manifestation of the devotees. But because of that attraction, couldn't resist couldn't resist the pull of the Maha Mantra and the association of the devotees, even though the devotees look crazy. My friends would tell me the Hare Krishnas, they're crazy. And I remember when I'd see Gauramandala Bhumi, and he's really intense, play the mridanga and looking at really intensely at everybody. I thought, whoa. I thought, get mixed up with those guys, you're finished. So, but that pull, that attraction, because it's such a natural experience of jubilation, of joy, of happiness. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for Anandamaya Abhyasat. We're pleasure seekers. Krishna is a pleasure seeker. He's the source of all pleasure. Right? Rama means the giver of pleasure, the source of pleasure. Well, Krishna is the source of everything. So, there's that oblivion, or that oblivious to the voice of the common, of the marketplace, of the common populace. And so it's interesting here that the Brahmana identified Prahlad Maharaj as somebody who's not, and we see it in Prahlad Maharaj's life. He was happy to go to school. He was enthusiastic to go to school. Of course, when he discovered what they were teaching, he wasn't very happy. He was discouraged, actually. What he was learning from Nanda, is it? What was it? Yes, his teachers that his father had arranged. And Sunanda and Amaka, isn't it? Yeah. Prahlad Maharaj was happy to go to school until he discovered what they were actually teaching. Because what was his experience of school were the instructions that he'd received from Narada Muni, right? So when his father asked him, what's the most important thing that you've learned, then all Prahlad Maharaj could do was give the teachings of Narada Muni, not the nonsense that had been taught by Sunanda and Amaka. Which is how I felt when I went to university. I was thinking, somehow I thought I was going to get some enlightenment at university, but when I look back at it, I think, that's so naive. That was never going to happen. But it wasn't until I met the devotees. And the devotees that I met originally, none of them were great scholars. But they were simple-hearted devotees. And they took the first instruction that I got was from a devotee called Setukrit, and he told me the story of how Valmiki was converted from being a dacoit and a robber into, the reciter of the Ramayana, and how he was encouraged by Narada Muni to chant. And he said, I can't chant, I'm too fallen. Right? So Narada Muni said, okay, chant the name of death, Mara, 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 which eventually became Rama, Rama, Rama. Right? And that story actually had a big impact on me, because it made me appreciate, at least, there's something to this chanting, right? There's something to this whole process. Hare Krishna's, there's something going on there with the chanting. And he explained it to me. Rama, Rama, Rama. Which was Mara. Mara, Mara, Mara becomes Rama, Rama, Rama. So Narada Muni tricked the dacoit into becoming a devotee by chanting. Right? So that had the simple instructions from simple devotees has a powerful effect on the heart. And basically increases the faith of the practitioner, of the transcendentalist, of the aspiring devotee. So this is an important dynamic here, this engagement by qualified, inquisitive seeker of the truth and the qualified transcendentalist who's seen the truth. That's the Brahmana. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj also, he's actually, it's described how Prahlad Maharaj was seeing Krishna and engaging with Krishna internally as a young boy. He was self-realized and in connection with Krishna from childhood. This is Prahlad Maharaj is unique, really unique devotee, in that he was seeing Krishna, talking to Krishna, Krishna was talking to him. And so practically speaking, Prahlad Maharaj, even though he's in the material world, he wasn't. This is what an exalted transcendentalist he was. So already self-realized, effectively. Right? Yet, how does he approach this Brahmana? He approaches him as if he's a neophyte. Interesting. Right? The quality of a very advanced devotee is that they always present themselves as a beginner. Very interesting. As I mentioned the other day, Nanda Maharaj, when Uddhava was leaving to go back to Mathura and back to Krishna, because Krishna had at that point had left Vrindavan, and Nanda Maharaj and the Gopas prayed to Uddhava, please ask Krishna to bless us so that we always remember him and we're always engaged in his service, life after life. So this is Nanda Maharaj. He's a self-realized. He's already, the epitome or the exemplar of pure devotional service, and yet he's asking Uddhava, please ask Krishna to bless us so that we don't forget him. And the residents of Vrindavan can't forget Krishna. Yet he's presenting himself as if he does, as if he's just a beginner. Yet he's the most advanced. Very interesting. So here, Prahlad Maharaj is presenting himself as a beginner, yet he's actually the most advanced devotee. And that's recognized by the Brahmana. And so the Brahmana is saying here, because you're such a advanced devotee, and the measure is not concerned about what the materialistic society thinks of, one of the qualifications. Of course, the qualification is inquisitive, sincerely inquisitive, so that they make spiritual advancement. Even though he's the most advanced, he's still inquiring submissively. And as Prabhupada points out, the demonstration of his advancement was his connection to and his faithfulness to his guru. And of course we see that in Srila Prabhupada. You know, there's these these symptoms of great advancement, but then and conviction, determination, strictly following. So when Hiranyakashipu became so angry with his son because he was teaching devotional service, he wanted to kill him, right? Yet did he stop his determination? No. They tried to boil him in oil, throw him into a pit of snakes, trampled by elephants, feed him poison. How would you feel if your parents treated you like that? But he was... So Prabhupada says here, this is the nature of an intelligent devotee. And then Prabhupada takes that intelligent devotee, and what does he say? Sumeda, Sumeda Saha, Jagyai. Sankirtan Prayaya Yajantihi Sumeda Saha. So in this day and age, how do we tell the intelligent devotees? How do we tell? Jagyai Sankirtan Prayaya. They're always engaged in chanting Hare Krishna. One who is actually very intelligent, and here Prabhupada says, here's the bottom line. One who is actually very intelligent must join the Krishna consciousness movement. Huh? That's what I realised. When I saw the Harinam party and I was attracted to it, I thought, oh no, I've got to join these people. I don't have a choice. I've got to be a Hare Krishna like them. Because this is what I must do. Right? That's the inclination of the devotees. And especially when we engage in chanting Hare Krishna, hearing the philosophy, then we become convinced. Our faith grows stronger and our determination becomes stronger. Tusyanti cha ramanti cha, right? One becomes happy chanting Hare Krishna. One becomes happy hearing the philosophy of the Bhagavatam. And one becomes satisfied, right? Tushti. The satisfaction that you feel after eating a good meal is tushti, right? Although this is a different meal. This is a meal that you can keep on eating. And you never feel, you feel more and more satisfied. But you know, when you're eating a meal and you're full, we used to cook 108 preparations for Janmashtami. And then all of the devotees could fit upstairs. We'd fit upstairs. And Korma would arrange all of the serving. And we'd serve out the 108 preparations to all of the devotees on Vyasa Puja. Right? It was really something to look forward to. Because you'd be fasting so much, right? But you know, I don't think it's possible to eat 108 preparations. But you know, at the beginning you'd be really enthusiastic. And Korma would cook, you know, 30 types of rice, 30 chutneys. You know, that'd be half the preps. So in the beginning, the rice comes around, yeah. But at the end, when they come around and they just show you one grain of rice. No, 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 no. And for a week or two after Janmashtami, we'd have all the chutneys, right, in the containers. And so at lunchtime you could add the chutneys to the sabji and the rice and the chapatis. It was nice. But the interesting thing about this meal is the meal of the Bhagavatam is it's always satisfying, it's always pleasure giving, but you can keep on absorbing. Same with chanting Hare Krishna. It's such a powerful meditation that you don't want to stop. Huh? When we're chanting Hare Krishna with the right mood, Trinadapi Suhishnena Torore Api Suhishnana. So when we're hearing the chanting of the Mahamantra with the right attention and in the right mood, that just deepens one's affection, one's attraction to Krishna and one's affection for Krishna in the devotional process. Right? So that's the taste that helps, consolidates and solidifies a devotee's commitment, so that they're not concerned about what others say about them. Prahlad Maharaj wasn't concerned about, ordinarily we'd be very concerned, and we usually are, about what our parents think about us. Right? We spend most of our lives living up to the expectations of our parents. And we respect it because we respect our parents and the amount, the dedication and the sacrifice that they made to give us this opportunity. Yet, when we're chanting Hare Krishna and we're hearing the philosophy of the Bhagavat philosophy, even if it may disturb our parents, we don't care. Well, we care a little bit, but we still will chant Hare Krishna. In fact, I think, in my meetings with the devotees over the last few weeks, this is one of the major challenges for devotees, right? Worrying about what others will think about them. Any of you had that experience? Huh? Especially, what will my mum and dad think? If you ring up your mum and dad and tell them, I'm now chanting Hare Krishna. I'm chanting 16 rounds a day. They'll go, oh no, what are you doing? Right? That's what my mum said to me. I told her I'm living in the temple. She said, oh no, what are you doing? But we don't care. I mean, we do care, but at the same time we don't care. We care about how our parents think, what our family thinks, but at the same time we're more caring about our relationship with the devotees and our relationship with Krishna, because that's really what's satisfying. As Maharaj Chitraketu found out, when his son was revived, and Maharaj Chitraketu said, oh, my son, my son. And the boy said to him, which father are you? I've had so many fathers, right? Although, by the way, I don't suggest that's what you say to your parents. So, an intelligent person here, what does he realise? You know, the relationship, the Loka Shastra, the Loka Sabha, is it? You know, the relationships that we have in the ephemeral world are just that, ephemeral. But here, what does Prabhupada say? Realizing his own self as an eternal servant of Krishna. Right? And so that's Prahlad Maharaj and the Brahmana, deeply absorbed in their original spiritual identity and acting on that platform, not on the external platform, but acting on the internal platform of spiritual satisfaction, spiritual pursuit. So for some reason I was thinking in university I'm going to get some knowledge, and thoroughly disappointed. But it was when I met the devotees that I realised, here's what I want. They've got what I want. And then I'm not going to get anywhere else. Right? We're not going to get that information, that understanding, that learning of transcendental knowledge. And so, you know, from the external point of view, there's that learning, there's that scholarship in a devotee. But in one sense, that's not as important as this realization of one's spiritual identity. That's the purpose of understanding that learning. Well, confirmed anyway. That, you know, is the action on the spiritual platform. The situation in one's spiritual identity where the external world is no longer attractive, like Prahlad Maharaj. Or we see in Raghunath Das is a very interesting example. So thoroughly connected with his spiritual identity that he didn't even need to, you know, he was getting his energy from his spiritual identity, and so only needed to eat once every couple of days, and even then just a few drops of buttermilk. Right? And by the way, not to be imitated. Don't try this at home. Right? We've seen devotees try to be renounced. They come for breakfast with a little bowl. Right? But then they pile it high. And then, you know, at midnight they're raiding the fridge because they're so hungry. Yeah. So detachment comes from spiritual advancement, not detachment doesn't produce spiritual advancement per se. Yeah. So, realizing his own self as an eternal servant of Krishna and thus practice Satatam kirtayanto mam yatanti, what is it? Dridha brataha, with firm determination. Thus practice constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So for some reason, before I became a devotee, I knew that if I chanted Hare Krishna, there would always be somebody in the world somewhere chanting Hare Krishna with me. Yeah. Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions on any of these points? Prasanth.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Nice class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for a nice class. Here is a mention of so-called scriptures. Does it point to bogus scripture? Because scripture will always speak the truth.
Ah, that's a good question. We know within the Vedas there are different classifications of Shastra, right? And the Bhagavatam is identified as the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic knowledge, right? Or another example is like milk is good, right? But the top of the milk, the cream is the best. So the Bhagavatam is the cream of the Vedic literature. Yeah. So Loka Shastrabhyam here is translated as the opinion of the common man or common literatures. It's not actually Shastra, but the word Shastra is used, but Loka Shastra. So it looks like the word Shastra can be used to describe books in general.
Yeah.
Right? But when we talk about Shastra, we're really talking about Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, you know, the books that Prabhupada wanted us to focus on Bhakti Shastra, right? As opposed to Loka Shastra, Bhakti Shastra, which means books that elucidate, that uncover, explore Bhakti, our spiritual. Yeah, so the focus is purely on spiritual topics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Thank you.
So interesting. Shastra can just refer to a book in this case.
And we just don't read any book. We read authorized book or bona fide books, which is given by the acharyas.
Yes. And you know, you see in Indian culture how much reverence there is for Shastra and transcendental learning, transcendental knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jai. Thank you so much.
Because of that. Yeah. And why book distribution is so much emphasized by Srila Prabhupada, not just any ordinary book, but books with the focus on spiritual advancement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jai. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sibya has a question, would you believe? Yes. Hare Bal Sibya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class.
Slowly so I can hear you. Okay.
Prabhu, you mentioned that when we do chanting, we don't feel like we're in the material world. We feel unlimited bliss. So sometimes we see, Prabhu, all our surroundings are like nice, like we have a nice temple.
Sometimes we
have a good surrounding, like we have a nice temple.
We have a what? We have
a good surrounding around us.
Good surroundings.
Like nice temple, devotees doing kirtan, and they're very ecstatic. But and we take it for granted, so we don't appreciate the bliss much. So how do we understand? We take it for granted. And
we take our chanting for granted.
We take all the nice surroundings that we have for bhakti for granted. We don't appreciate the bliss. So why does that happen?
Yeah. Rupa Goswami mentions that actually we're afflicted by by ignorance, right? And so sometimes when we're chanting, it feels hard, right? A challenge. You know, sometimes chanting Hare Krishna is like chewing cardboard, not very pleasurable. Have you experienced that? Sometimes we're chanting Hare Krishna and we feel just in ecstasy, and then other times it's like, oh no, this is so hard. That's the ignorance. And it's the tongue is afflicted by that. Ordinarily, or when we're very fortunate, we're chanting Hare Krishna, we feel a deep relish, which is what you're saying. But then other times we don't. We think, oh, this is too hard. How many rounds have I got? Oh no. I've only done that many? What's wrong? Yeah, and then there's other days we chant Hare Krishna and we just think, oh, this is it. Right? There's no more fun. You can't have any more fun than just chanting Hare Krishna. And then on other days, there's no worse torture than chanting Hare Krishna. So that's the affliction of the tongue, the jaundice of ignorance. And the example is given. The chanting of Hare Krishna is sweet, and we feel that. But then sometimes the chanting of Hare Krishna feels like it's the hardest thing to do. That's that affliction. So the cure is to keep chanting. Right? Just as the cure for jaundice is to take sugar, candy, which initially tastes bitter, but we know it's sweet. Its natural taste is sweet. So, yes, familiarity breeds contempt, and whilst we ordinarily relish and value the chanting, on occasion we may feel the obstacles are insurmountable, but the recommendation is rise early. Although that's not easy either, right? It's like, oh no, turn off the light, let me go back to sleep. Right? Feel like that? 4 o'clock, oh no. Help! So the recommendation is rise early and chant. Keep chanting. And chant at a time when there are no distractions. Right? Because as soon as the sun comes up, then the to-do list starts. Have you noticed that? When you at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, you get up, you can just sit and chant. The mind's a lot easier to control. But then as soon as the sun starts coming up, even before, the to-do list takes over. Yeah. Happened to me last night. I started chanting, and then I remembered Madana Sundari couldn't get her email. Right, and it just occurred to me, and I wasn't even thinking about it. This is the beauty of the mind is that it automatically works on stuff. Have you noticed? It's always working on solving problems or creating problems. It has a dual function, it's a multi-function tool. And so I realised she can't get her email because she hasn't got the right. And we changed some services on our tenancy, on our Microsoft tenancy. So, and I can think, well, I just changed her password, so she should be able to get access. So it just came to me while I was chanting. Check to see that she's got the right, she's got the right access. And lo and behold, that was the problem. I think she'll get her email now. So anyway, chanting Hare Krishna, trying to concentrate on chanting Hare Krishna, then all of a sudden I've solved a problem and I wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah, so that's why get up early, go to bed early, get up early, chant Hare Krishna, even if it's hard. Right? And, that's what Prabhupada did. Prabhupada would rise very early and chant. Stalwart devotees like Kadammakanda Maharaj, that's what he did. Right? get up very early in the morning and chant. That's what we should do too. Is that all right?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that solves the jaundice. Yeah. You're already doing that anyway, huh? Yeah. And even then we still feel complacent, right? So you've got to watch out. Laziness, mode of ignorance is real even for devotees. Yeah. Okay. We've got a week to go and then it's Ratha Yatra, so big festival on next weekend. Hare Krishna. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.